Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. Host Eddie Frederick.
So glad you can join us. The Bahamian law enforcement authorities are in a no-nonsense mood when it comes to treating with crime. This story takes the lead in today's edition of Caribbean Perspective for Tuesday, 2nd May 2023. Details when we return.
Hubbard's Multi-Department Mount Gay and Hubbard's Tire Bay, located at the Building Supplies Compound in Grand Anse, are reminding the motoring public that another round for licensing and inspection has begun. Just arrived on new shipments of quality furrowed and torque tires to fit all makes and models of vehicles at competitive pricing. Shop early to avoid the hassle of long lines. WhatsApp them on 473-405-5482. Hubbard's, quality service, affordable prices.
Welcome back. The Bahamas' Minister of National Security, Wayne Munro, addresses the crime issue as the fight continues. Carla Palmer of ZNS News has more.
A young man once told me that his gang liked him so much, loved him so much, that they were going to pay for his funeral.
The sobering reality of what the country as a whole faces in wrestling crime. National Security Minister, the Honorable Wayne Munro, laying it all out on the table, hours after another young man was shot to death here in the capital. The fourth such slaying in just 4 days. Sadly for some, a life of crime begins at a very young age for those seeking inclusion, a sense for people caring, and a sense of community. According to Munro, everyone leading a major gang went to prison as a young man for something simple.
A young man goes up with thoughts of, I'm going to be raped. Prison conditions are bad. So a drug lord, a gang leader, gets him and says, I'm going to make sure nobody fools with you. I'm going to make sure you get water. I'm going to make sure you get some money on your commissary. I'm going to make sure when I smuggle some dope into prison, because that happens, as you have seen, I'm going to give you some. That young man is coming out in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. And when he comes out, he wasn't riding any gang when he went in.
The minister's comments follow those of Police Commissioner earlier this week, who attributed the country's serious crimes to drugs, turf wars, conflict resolution issues, domestic abuse, and gangs.
Everyone is a good son when he is born. Everyone is a good daughter when he is born. Our experiences in this country shows us that somewhere from birth to about 14, 15, some of our young men particularly adopt the mindset that they are willing to drive around, walk around with high-powered guns and handguns and have no compunction shooting someone in their head 2 or 3 times, about the body multiple times.
The government's intervention measures include reinstating some initiatives and introducing others to stem crime. A disciplinary component is being led by the police and the defense forces and the correction services.
In the meantime, Minister Munro says anyone convicted of crime will be held accountable for their actions completely. Again, this story from ZNS News.
As a further deterrent to crime, the National Security Minister says the decision has also been made to have those convicted serve all their sentences. This with the legislative help of a parole act, which he's hoping to introduce soon for consultation.
When you go to prison now, you get 4 months off for good behavior. So if you are sentenced to 12 months, you only serve 8 months. When you come out on day 1, you can commit an offense and you never serve the 4 months that you were given off. We intend to change that. We intend to make it clear that you will serve your sentence, some in the correctional institution, some in the community. but you will be held accountable for your actions completely. And for the persons who need punishment but may not need incarceration, technology permits us to impose a sentence where you only get to go to work and to church and the food store once, and other than that, you stay home to serve a sentence in the community.
Well, meantime, in prison, there's an education program aimed at rehabilitation.
Reinstituted programs in the correctional institution. We hope to have the first accredited correctional institution in this region as we move forward. We're partnering with Corrections Canada to introduce programming in our prison.
Moving further south to Trinidad and Tobago, the Commissioner of Police there, Earl Christopher Haywood, says the hosting of a tea party by the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Women Police will not affect the ability of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to fight crime. TTT News has more.
Commissioner Haywood denies hosting a tea party as is being published. In a statement, the Commissioner said the tea party is an event that the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Women Police to raise funds to support their attendance at the International Association of Women Training Conference in New Zealand. She noted the fundraising event has been held regularly over the years, and traditionally, the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Women Police will request and be granted the use of the official residence of the Commissioner for the hosting of the event. Commissioner Haywood is assuring that the hosting of a fundraiser by the Trinidad and Tobago Association of Women Police in no way adversely affects the ability and the resolve of the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service to address a serious crime challenge.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
Mayhem across Trinidad and Tobago on Friday last. Over 100 secondary schools throughout the Twin Island Republic received bomb threats. More in this comprehensive TTT News item.
From as early as 8 a.m. on Friday, school officials began receiving phone calls and emails with threats to detonate explosives at the learning institutions. This prompted mass evacuations. The Minister of Education, Dr. Nyan Gadsby-Dolly, confirmed that as of midday, over 100 secondary schools had received bomb threats, either by email or by phone.
At this time, the number of schools that have received threats stands at this time at 55, but that number is changing as we go along because via email, quite a number of the threats came in and were blocked by the spam. So it went into the junk folder, and so some schools are only now seeing that they did actually receive the threat.
She said another 52 email threats were blocked by spam, while in two divisions, Caroni and Northeastern Division, the threat went directly to the police. In Tobago, all 9 secondary schools received bomb threats. The minister lamented the action affected CSEC and Cape oral exams in 15 secondary schools.
I want to make a personal call to our children, for our children, on behalf of our children, asking those who are involved in this to understand the repercussions that destabilizing our education system has on our children. It takes a village to raise a child, and we have to be more mindful of the effects of our actions on our children. So I would just really, in the strongest terms, condemn what happened today, and I would appeal to those involved to not do this again to our children.
Minister Gadsby-Dolly confirmed the matter is being treated by the police as a criminal offense. Karen Kozia-Phillip, TTT News.
The Trinidad and Tobago Police Service has confirmed that all schools where threats were reported have been visited and evacuated by officers who carried out thorough searches for any threats. The TTPS said no devices or explosives were discovered. The TTPS said today's events caused undue panic and stress upon not only innocent children, but also parents, guardians, and all teachers and staff at the affected schools. The TTPS wants to assure members of the public that investigations will be thoroughly conducted with a view of bringing the perpetrators to justice.
Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is assuring that security agencies will make every effort to locate the misguided terrorist miscreants who carried out Friday's acts. Via a media release, the Prime Minister said many parents and children were terrorized and the education system disrupted by the wanton criminal action of one or a few who do not wish this country well. He said this evil action of organized bomb threats only serves to demonstrate how vulnerable we all are to the wiles of those who would harm us. Dr. Rowley said it is wholly reprehensible that any person could see it fit to attack and traumatize our children in this way or any similar way. And he condemns in the strongest terms these actions which are clearly meant to disrupt the country, even as others set out to destabilize the society. The Prime Minister said the state agencies will continue to monitor the situation and gives the entire population the assurance that they will do everything possible to protect them as we educate our children and make our country safer.
Police in St. Kitts and Nevis are searching for one of the migrant detainees who unlawfully left a government detention facility on Wednesday, 26th April. Andre Huey of SKN Newsline reports.
A statement from the Ministry of National Security released earlier on Thursday disclosed that 9 of the detainees escaped custody, but 4 of them have been found. Up to news time, 4 of the 5 who were at large were found and 1 still missing. The missing detainee is Nicholas Santa Areche, who is said to be from the Dominican Republic. The police are reminding the public that harboring any person deemed a fugitive or assisting said fugitives in an attempt to evade law enforcement is a criminal offense subject to prosecution. The police is seeking the public's cooperation in the swift resolution of this matter. Meanwhile, the Ministry of National Security has disclosed that the government of Antigua and Barbuda, after initially agreeing to accept the repatriation of the 14 Cameroonians, has now rescinded this offer, thereby cancelling the pending arrangement. The ministry said, quote, "The government of St. Kitts and Nevis continues to pursue workable and diplomatic solutions as it is duty-bound to do so." On March 28th, a call for help at sea by the St. Kitts and Nevis Coast Guard turned out to be a rescue mission for a number of Cameroonian nationals who were found alive after their boat capsized, leaving Antigua and Barbuda. The Cameroonians were transported to St. Kitts, provided with medical and psychological care, according to the Ministry of National Security, and detained at a government facility pending repatriation to Antigua and Barbuda. A total of 17 Cameroonians were brought to St. Kitts by the Coast Guard, but 3 of them were deceased, having perished before being rescued. Andre Huey, SKN Newsline.
As various heads of missions accredited to St. Kitts and Nevis joined the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in commemorating Diplomatic Week, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew reiterated the policy and pathway towards achieving the status of sustainable island state. Glenn Bart of SKN Newsline has that report.
The 2023 Diplomatic Week is being commemorated under the theme Driving Change, Advancing a Vision for a Sustainable Island State. In presenting the featured address at the opening of the week of activities, Prime Minister Drew told diplomats to strengthen and deepen relationships with all diplomatic and consular partners as part of the process needed to succeed in sustainability, and encourage visiting diplomats to be a part of the country's journey.
Our Sustainable Island State Development Agenda is focused on 7 key pillars, which include food security, green energy transition, economic diversification, sustainable industries, the creative economy, COVID-19 recovery, and social protection. As we celebrate our 40th anniversary of independence, it is my fervent hope that many of you will not only return to be a part of this grand celebration of nationhood, but you will return readily to concretize mutually beneficial partnerships in areas such as food security, green energy transition, economic diversification, sustainable industries, the creative economy, and social protection, as you pledge your support to our vision of developing a sustainable island state.
While in the Federation, diplomats will be engaged in various meetings and activities, all aimed at moving the country forward towards the sustainable goals. Glenn Bart reporting for SKN Newsline.
Hubbards is once again innovating the way you shop with its new online store, providing 24-hour shopping convenience. You can shop now for appliances, hardware, houseware, building material, and more. Free delivery island-wide. Start shopping now at hubbartshardware.gd. Safe, convenient, reliable.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.